The first time I saw it, it didn't look like much. Just a small, coppery disc lying at the bottom of a worn leather pouch that had likely been untouched for years. Its surface had dulled with time, and its edges had softened from circulation. But when I picked it up and turned it over in my hand, the weight of history settled in. Not physical weight, of course, it barely weighed more than a paperclip, just under 3 grams, but the weight of memory, of place, of forgotten hands and vanished markets. That was the weight that struck me. I looked closer. Arabic script curved across the face in a design that was both restrained and elegant. The numerals were stylized but familiar. Beneath them, the date 2008 sat quietly next to its Islamic counterpart, 1429. Even those numbers told a story. 2 calendars, 2 worlds, marking time together on one piece of metal. I didn't need to read Arabic to understand the reverence with which the coin had been made. It wasn't flashy, but it wasn't careless either. It was precise, intentional. It was Omani. That word alone carried the scent of distant deserts and quiet coastlines, of incense drifting through ancient souks and the sound of calls to prayer echoing off stone walls. Oman, a place many know by name but few truly understand. A nation shaped by centuries of trade and tradition, by seafarers and scholars, and in more recent years, by the long and transformative rule of Sultan Qaboos bin Said. It was under his vision that Oman modernized, opening roads where there were none, building schools where knowledge had once been passed down by word of mouth, and giving its people a voice and identity that stretched far beyond its borders. And yet, here in my hand, was the smallest symbol of that identity, a 5 Baisa coin, worth almost nothing in the markets of Muscat in 2008, barely enough to buy a piece of candy or a stick of gum. But money isn't just about value. Not always. Sometimes it's about where it's been, what it's seen, what it represents to those who used it, lost it, saved it, or forgot it. This coin was minted not in Oman, but likely in the royal mint abroad, struck into existence by machines, checked for quality, boxed and shipped across continents to land in the cash drawers of Omani shopkeepers. From there, it made its journey, passed from hand to hand, moment to moment. It could have been dropped by a schoolchild buying a snack, or tucked into a taxi driver's change purse. Maybe it fell behind a shop counter and was swept up into oblivion. Or maybe, just maybe, someone held onto it on purpose, not for its monetary worth, but for something else. A token of home. A memory of someone's father's voice. A dusty afternoon. The sound of the radio humming in a tea house as I held it. I began to wonder about its journey. Coins like these don't scream for attention. They don't boast or shine. They survive in silence. But every scratch on its surface was a word in an unspoken language. Every tiny ding, every patch of wear on its rim, told me that this coin had lived. It had traveled, and it had endured. Numismatists, those passionate, patient collectors of coins, sometimes speak of the Baisa with a kind of reverence. Not because it's rare in the traditional sense. In fact, the Baisa was mass-produced. It was common, disposable. But that's exactly what makes it so special today. Many were used, lost, discarded, melted down. Very few survived in excellent condition. Fewer still were dated 2008, a year whose minting numbers were never officially made public. Some claim that production that year was lower due to shifts in monetary policy or minting contracts. Others suggest political reasons. And while most of the world went on with its affairs, a quiet transformation was happening in coin markets behind the scenes. Collectors began to notice. Some whispered about a spike in Omani coin demand. Others laughed it off. After all, how could a coin worth less than a single US cent ever matter? But slowly, steadily, those in the know began to look deeper. A few lucky collectors stumbled across the 2008 5 Baisa in market bins, at estate sales in old family boxes. They began to realize that something so small, so overlooked, could be a rarity in plain sight. It was then that stories began to emerge. Stories of collectors paying $5, $10, even $50 for the coin. Then $100. At first, it was just online auctions and niche forums. Then came the international attention. YouTubers, TikTokers, Instagram reels showing the coins spinning on glass tables, zooming in on the Arabic inscriptions, speculating on its value. Some called it a hidden gem. Others said it was a bubble. But every story shared made the mystery grow. I kept holding my own coin, turning it slowly, feeling the ridges with my thumb. Its copper plating had darkened over time, but that only added to its character. I imagined the Royal Mint worker long ago, feeding blank rounds into the press. I imagined the coin dropping into a tray with hundreds of others, indistinguishable at the time, but now, somehow set apart. The world has seen many coins rise in value. The 1943 copper penny in the US. The 1933 double eagle. The Canadian dot cent. All of them started as ordinary money. But something, a misprint, a minting error, a low mintage, turned them into legends. This 5 Baisa wasn't flashy. It didn't have gold or silver. But it had something rarer, obscurity. And obscurity, when pierced, creates desire.